There is a building type that shaped nearly every great American city before 1940. You have walked past them. You have probably eaten in them, bought groceries in them, maybe even lived above one. A shop on the ground floor, a home above it, one building, two uses. The oldest urban arrangement in human history. It's now illegal to build in most of the United States. Here's a question I want you to sit with. What is the one building use where American zoning codes regulate not just what you build, but whether it touches something else? Not commercial, not industrial, not civic. It's residential. Think about what that means. You can build a restaurant directly attached to a dry cleaner. You can build a clothes store directly attached to a warehouse. Zoning may tell you where those uses go, but it does not tell them whether they can share a wall. Residential use is different. Zoning codes across this country distinguish obsessively between attached and detached dwellings. They treat a duplex as categorically different from a single-family home. They treat a row house as something that needs its own special district to exist. They treat an apartment above a shop as a use so exotic it requires a variance in most municipalities. As a planning commissioner and a licensed architect, I've sat across the table from property owners who just want to have a residential use above a commercial use, and couldn't. I've seen applicants spend thousands of dollars and months and effort just to build one duplex and get denied. And I want to make the case today that this distinction, attached versus detached, is one of the most consequential and least examined assumptions baked into American zoning. It isn't protecting you from anything that building codes don't already handle. And it is costing us enormously. To understand why we regulate attachment, you have to go back to a time before we had a serious building code at all. In the 19th century, American cities burned regularly, catastrophically. The Great Chicago Fire of 1871, the Great Baltimore Fire of 1904, the San Francisco earthquake and fire of 1906. These weren't just disasters. They were policy wake-up calls. And the logic at the time was not unreasonable. If buildings touch each other, fire spreads. If you force separation between structures, you slow the burn. Detachment was a fire suppression strategy. That logic was also embedded in early zoning codes. However, the International Building Code, currently adopted in some form by nearly every jurisdiction in the United States, already governs fire separation, party wall construction, egress, sprinkler systems, and structural requirements for every building type. It does this with precision and rigor that no early zoning ordinance could have imagined. The safety rationale for regulating attachment is gone. The building code handled it, but the zoning distinction stayed, long after the reason for it disappeared. So if the fire safety argument is obsolete, what does regulating attachment actually accomplish today? It produces sprawl. When your code treats a detached house as categorically superior or simply permitted where an attached house is not, you push development outward. You mandate larger lots. You eliminate the row house, the townhouse, the duplex, the courtyard apartment, the corner store with a flat above. You make it legally impossible to build the urban fabric that existed in virtually every American city before 1940. And here's what doesn't get said enough. This distinction didn't just shape where things got built. It outlawed a specific building type that had defined urban commerce for millennia. The mixed-use building, ground floor commercial, residential above, is not a planning theory. It is an historical default. It is how cities worked. The agora, the medieval market town, the main street of every American small city before the automobile. When zoning codes established separate residential and commercial districts, Euclidean zoning, as we've covered on this channel before, and then further separated attached from detached residential use, they didn't just reorganize the city. They made it illegal to build the thing that had always been the connective tissue of urban life. That building with a mom and pop shop on the ground floor with their residents above, that quintessential American Main Street, illegal in most American cities. There is a concept in housing policy called missing middle housing, and if you've followed this channel, you know where I stand on it. Duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, row houses, courtyard apartments. These are the building type that occupied the middle ground between a single-family home and a large apartment block. They are missing because we removed them from the legal landscape. And the mechanism by which we remove them is exactly what we're talking about today, the regulation of attachment. A duplex is, by definition, an attached dwelling, 2 units sharing a wall. Under an attachment-regulated code, it belongs in a different district than a detached single-family home, if it's permitted anywhere at all. And in most post-war suburbs, it's not by right. The reform I want to put on the table is this: eliminate the regulatory distinction between attached and detached residential use entirely. Not just allow duplexes, not just create a missing middle overlay zone. Collapse the category. Treat a residential unit as a residential unit, and let the building code, not the zoning code, govern how it relates to the structure next to it. If you want to build a detached house, build one. If you want to build 2 units sharing a wall on the same lot, the zoning code should have nothing to say about that wall. This would unlock missing middle housing by right in virtually every residential zone in the country without a single special permit or variance, and the density wouldn't need to change at all. Now, I want to be honest with you about the counter-arguments, because there are real ones, and dismissing them doesn't serve anyone. The most common objection goes something like this: if you remove the attachment distinction, what stops someone from building a massive wall-to-wall apartment block in a neighborhood of single-family homes? It's a fair concern, and the answer is the same tools zoning already uses for everything else. Height limits, not by feet, by number of floors. 2 to 6 floors, depending on the context. The numbers should match the neighborhood. That's a local decision, but it's a simple enforceable rule. Lot size maximums. How large can a lot be? Current zoning practice already sets the minimum lot size, but for this proposal, a maximum lot size may be something worth considering. The reason for this is to maximize the diversity of ownership. Limiting overall building mass is not just about preserving or enhancing neighborhood character. It's about increasing the number of people who can afford to own their own residence. It's an argument I will cover in future videos, but the concept, for me at least, is rooted in Jane Jacobs' observations that ownership breeds responsibility, social cohesion, and trust in an area's inhabitants. Design guidelines. As an architect, I'll admit this one is more difficult and could be the most abused. But I'll be the first to admit that the profession let people down in a lot of ways from the 1950s to 1990s, so it's a valid concern. The way windows and doors are placed, breaking up the facade, material standards, these could be appropriate tools for governing how a building meets the street, not whether it shares a wall with its neighbor. There is also a reasonable argument that very large multifamily buildings, say a 100-unit apartment complex, may warrant a distinct regulatory category. Not because attachment is the problem, but because scale introduces different infrastructure demands and reduces diverse ownership. A threshold definition, something like a maximum unit count or lot size before a project triggers a different review path, is worth serious study. But that is an argument about scale, not attachment. Those are different things, and we've been conflating them for a century. The building code governs safety. Height limits by floor govern massing. Design guidelines govern character. Attachment governs nothing that those tools don't already handle better. Every great neighborhood in America that people pay a premium to live in, that people call walkable, human-scaled, full of life, was almost certainly built before the attachment distinction existed in law. We didn't plan those places into existence. We planned our way out of them. The building code already handles fire. The height limit already handles scale. The design guideline already handles character. There is nothing left for the attachment distinction to do, except prevent the next generation of cities from being built the way the best ones already were. The rule isn't protecting us, it's just in the way. I'm Luke Morris, and this is As Built.